Welcome back. If you are just with us for the live stream moments ago, I was doing a middle school solo, and that is because they need that right now. They're all starting to get through with their first concert cycle, and marching band season is, well, it's still going, but maybe they've learned their final show, and so now they are moving on to starting the solos, and they wanted to have those resources for the students. So they very graciously asked the teachers at East Carolina to do that. And so I always do it every year anyway, but they haven't changed two of the solos, and then they did change one. So I was kind of waiting to figure that out, and I did, I guess. But anyway, now I need to practice. And so I don't know how long this one will be, because that was 30 minutes of playing, and I warmed up before that. So we'll see. This kind of practice that we're going to do today is sort of these modern unaccompanied solos. And well, I feel like a lot of people struggle to practice this kind of music. I have a former student who does a lot of this kind of stuff, so maybe he will join us on, if he's in the chat or something. If you're listening, hi Robbie, and tell us your secrets, because you do this a lot, even more than I do these days. But I used to do this a lot, and well, I thought we did this last stream with the sort of slow is smooth and smooth is good, right? And so a lot of that plays into this kind of practice, but it's also just hearing the pitches before and figuring out a way to get your mind around the rhythms, maybe. There's a lot to it. So I'm going to practice the solos that I have coming up in the next couple of, I guess it's about 2.5 weeks from now. We have a recital, me and Quentin Millette, who is our percussion instructor and doctor of percussion, and so I have a lot to live up to. And then we're going to do one little piece. I don't know if I have it here. I really should practice it, but I have one little piece that we're doing together that's for voice, and we're going to make it marimba or vibes. So anyway, I don't think we'll probably hear that today unless I can find it, and I don't see it anywhere nearby, so we'll just stick to the unaccompanied, what sometimes is called contemporary literature, although it's not really contemporaneous to anything in particular, because it's all over the map. But these are words that are understood to be descriptive of kind of the general unaccompanied, post-tonal, and still sometimes tonal music for just trumpet solo. Okay, so we're going to start with Hoffman, Edward Hoffman, 4 miniatures for solo trumpet. I think based on what we've been talking about with our program, I'm just going to do 2 of these movements, mostly because one of them really physically is hard on me, and the other one, well, kind of the same, but there's one that I really love playing, which is the 4th one, and then the second one I've always wanted to play, and so I think those will make a nice pairing. One is faster, one is slower, and they won't just completely destroy my chops for the rest of the recital like trying to play all 4 of them does. All 4 really takes about 10 minutes, and that's kind of a long time to play by yourself on stage and then do anything else. So Hoffman is a good one to do all of when you don't have anything else to do on that program. But 2 of them, and then wait, and then I'm going to do Postcards by Tony Ploeg, and I'm going to do the Henza Sonatina. And Ploeg is, I timed it yesterday, I think. It was about 10 minutes, maybe? Yeah, not really quite. It's like 8 minutes. So, that's fine. Another little 7 or 8 minute piece. And then the Henza is about 7 minutes. And but it's a mean 7 minutes. And so I always prefer to do hard, short things because, well, they're more impressive to audiences. It's a great strategy for competition as well. If you ever do trumpet competitions, if you can play something really hard that doesn't last very long, people kind of make the assumption that you could play anything as long as that's really good for 7 minutes or whatever. Peter Maxwell Davies is a great example. But anyway, let's get to playing. So I'm gonna sort of learn the second movement. I know it already a little bit, but I don't know it well enough to perform it, and that's what we need to get by the recital. And so the start of that process starts here. Now, You can learn as we talk a lot. We can learn from the end to the beginning, and that's a good strategy because it gets more and more familiar as you go on. But I'm more interested right now in getting the feeling and the sound to be continuous from beginning to end, right? So I'm going to still do it chunk by chunk from the beginning to the end. And then I'm also going to keep track of what I really need to work on. And we'll work on it a little bit together, but so as not to be tedious. This type of practice is tedious. And so as not to be too tedious, we're not going to really beleaguer those points. But okay, so I'm also going to keep the page turn in. I should just copy it, but for now, we'll keep the page turn. So from the beginning of the second of 4 miniatures by Hoffman. So getting off to a good start, I would say I can play the first bar at tempo, so I did. But after that, like this is as fast as I can go to go da 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 da. And I'm thinking of that as just it's like a 4/4 bar where I stop on the last note because there's railroad tracks after that, right? You stop and pause, and so I don't need that last note to be of any value. So I can go ba da 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 yeah. Right? So that gives me a way to get through that mentally. And then I have to practice. So some of our classic, just we're being repetitive. We're getting it at a slow tempo. We're getting the feeling of it, right? I don't want this to change all over the place all the time. So I want it to be smooth, and I need to get it up to speed, and then I need to build it into context. And in this case, the context is just what comes before it because it stops, and then it continues, but not after a pause. So now, is that 126, and does it matter? Well, 126 is here. And you can't keep a metronome on this piece either because it's not strictly in even meter. In fact, it changes a lot. So 5/8, 3/8, 7/8, it's all over the place. So you got to bup, 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 bup. That's what you got to keep in your mind. I think we can probably do that. Let's try to. Okay, so we've got a couple of repetitions of it. For some reason, I couldn't think through just the 5/8 bar. I have to start at the beginning of that section, and that's not going to be a problem as long as I always play it all the way through, which is how you'll perform it. But when you have problems like that, it can signify that you're just not quite sure about a section, how it sounds by itself, and that can be a stumbling block that you don't anticipate being a problem, but then suddenly is, right? So it's worthwhile sometimes to work on those things. I'm going to keep an eye on that 5/8 bar. Da, 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 right? I'm just going to make sure that I check on that every once in a while, right? So, okay. Now we're leaving out the last line of this this page. Da 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 dum bum bum ba da 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 da. Yeah, so you can hear I have some trouble hearing the notes, so I'm just going to play them in pairs, and I really want to make sure I get every pair worked out in my ear. So you can hear I'm trying to get groups of notes together in my brain. I want to make sure that I feel confident about the sounds going on there, and I still don't. Right? I need to sing this obviously a lot more. Da 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 da. So, I mean, I know I'm a bad singer. Just relax. But it's hard. It's hard to hear, and if it's hard to hear, it's going to take that out of my lip when I try to play it, right? And you can even hear that in when I'm struggling. It's harder for me to keep playing into the high register. But okay, can we build that into the relative context? There's a pause before it, but it can't be that long of a pause. We just started playing the piece, right? So in other words, can we play what we've learned up until now? Let's try that. So I guess we did play it. I'm not sure that it was the easiest sounding thing in the world, but I didn't feel like it took too much out of my lip to do it, and that's going to be important as we move forward, right? So now this next section, I've turned the page. This next section is notoriously kind of unplayable, and I hate saying that because it sounds like a personal problem, right? It's a limitation that I have, but I have at the tempo, you know, bop, 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 bop. It's really hard to play this 5/16 bar, or as I call it, 2.58 bar, right? That it goes. So if I'm going da 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 is what I have to get on eighth notes, right? Right? I'll play you the notes that I have to play, and then we'll see if we can just get that. So to get that at this tempo, right, it always just sounds kind of like a gesture, and I tend to get obsessed about these things because I want to play what the composer wrote exactly if I can, right? But what if you can't? And so I've talked to my dad about this, and he said, well, it's kind of like it's like a jazz lick, you know. You kind of and the way he does it, I think I'm satisfied with the way that sounds. He makes it sound really good, and I think if I try for the fingerings and I play the gestural element of it, right? In other words, that it goes up and it doesn't just go up; it kind of goes right? If I can do that shape and get the fingerings as close as I can, I don't want the music to stop because I can't play this lick. Now the other option would be to play it somewhat out of time, and a lot of people take that option when they play solos alone, in other words, unaccompanied, because, well, who's going to stop them, I guess. But I don't like that option. He wrote a tempo. There's meters in here, right? He has an idea of what he wants, and so I owe it to the composer to at least attempt to play what is written. But there is something to be said for, if I can't make it sound good, they probably don't want me to try to make it sound like what they want and then fail and sound bad, right? So something else maybe is more appropriate, or I shouldn't play this piece, which, well, every time I play it, I think more and more, maybe I shouldn't play this piece. But anyway, so let's see what we can do about that gesture then. And then the rest of it kind of falls in around it. So still pretty slow, but we've got a gesture that kind of fits over beats. So now if I go, right, that can only be three. It's not even really three, but it sort of fits into 3/8 notes, right? It says 5/16, which I guess maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, right? So if there's 5/16 notes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the quadruplets, and that means the triplet is over only one? Yeah, I guess. So the triplet's faster than the other notes, which I've been playing it slower. Okay, so we've discovered something, right? So if I'm going, oh, it's so fast. So again, it's back to the gesture, right? So let's see if we can build it into context anyway. Sorry, I'm still thinking about, okay, if that's really 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Okay, let's I'll try to just do the gesture in 5/16. Again, you could spend too much time on this, obviously, but it's important to try to get it right, I think. Close, maybe. Try one more time. And then I always get confused in this part, and I think it's because I'm just not able to look at it, so I got to memorize it. So let's start at the end of the section, move backward, and see if we can get it. I'm trying to really hammer the gestural elements of the whole thing, because especially if I'm really trying to play the spirit of the piece in some places where I really can't play as technically proficient, I need to be more aware of what those stylistic elements are and really make sure that they come out. Otherwise, then I'm really not. Then I'm starting to say I can't really play this piece, right? If I can't play the style, I can't play every note right, I can't play the rhythms, I can't play it at tempo. At some point, you have to sort of throw in the towel for now and keep working on it. I have a lot of pieces like that. One in particular, it's the Barrio Sequenza. I just can't. I can't play that whole piece. I can play parts of it. The same thing is for Erickson's Krill, right? I can play the first 3 or 4 or 5 pages of that, and then after that, it's just I just don't know how to do the things. You know, it's just too hard. And but I work on it for about once a year. I get it out and I look at it, and I probably should work on a little more than that if I want to make progress. But I want to be able to play it someday, right? And so that means I have to work on my pedal range for Krill. I mean, I have to work on my doodle tongue. I have to work on my picking off high C's on C trumpet, right? I have to work just on my ability to play intervals and rhythms. That's the biggest challenge for me in both of those pieces. And then in Krill, you also have to sing and play vented valves and quarter tones. And I need to work on my quarter tone scale every day if I really want to play that piece. So those are the kinds of things where I don't want to be performing those pieces anytime soon because I'm not ready to do it. But I can work on them little by little. This piece I think I'm a lot closer to. And so if I can get the gestures and I can get the notes and make it easy enough for me to physically get through because I know it so well, right? That's an important aspect. Then I think I have a chance of performing it. And I like to do something new every year. A lot of people play the same couple of pieces, you know, in a cycle. You know, they might have 3 or 4 recitals that they really like to do, and then they can mix and match those pieces as they you know, play at this school or that school or this year or that year. I like to try to learn at least one new piece every single recital that I play, only because it keeps me interested in the literature. It's a lot harder than playing the pieces I already know. But then this becomes a piece that I know, and then I can play this and all those other pieces, and I think that maybe helps me also broaden my knowledge for my students, that I know a lot of different kinds of pieces, so that when they want to play solos, then I have some experience, and it also saves you a lot of practice time later. When somebody else is playing this piece, you go, oh yeah, I remember this, and you only have to practice maybe a half hour to catch up and get it all together again, right? So anyway. All right, that was a nice little break for me. Let's try to go all the way back. I'm going to sing it first and then play it. So let's... And when I sing like that, I don't always sing right on pitch. If I'm doing just a bar, I will try to insist on just the pitch. But again, we're going for a gesture here, and then I can go back and make those parts more solidified in my ear, and maybe someday I can sing this all perfectly on pitch. All right, so we're going almost at tempo. I think that's a pretty good... Let's find out what that really is. It's bothering me. It's going to be some 140 something, or 240 something, right? Yeah, a little faster actually. So I'm going pretty much the right speed. Okay, let's look at the next section. See if we can play it. hearing the articulation wrong, that's always a big problem. So da 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 dun dum da 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 da. Try that again. Another thing I'm doing here is I'm playing a little too loudly, and that's going to take it out of my face for the soft movement that I also want to do, right? So let's try to keep that in mind. This part is a little bit loud. It's been forte for a couple of lines. Now we're going down to mezzo piano, and so let's try to hold it back as long as we can. There's some really big skips here that it's really pleasant to use a little too much air just to make sure they come out, and well, we might be stuck with that too, but let's see how well we can just keep it mezzo forte, mezzo piano. So you can see it's without like putting a little bit more air into it, it's really hard to keep those giant skips held back. So I might have to make it all a little bit louder to keep that in. But it's also really hard to hear these pitches. So I'm just going to go slowly. I'm going to do it like we did before, do a couple at a time, try to tie them together. And then when we work it up to speed, we've got them surrounded, so to speak. We're trying to get it up to speed and comfortable. And this part is always, I'm going to put an X on it right now. This part is always just a terror for me. In particular, that second line. I don't know what it is about that 6/8 measure that is so difficult, but you can hear me struggling. I don't even get the right fingering sometimes because I'm hearing the wrong melody. But okay, so, and then we've got the big skips. I want to just kind of keep that in my pocket. That's going to take a lot physically for me to do. So I want the rest of it around there to be done already so that I can practice playing through there, right? So this is a good place to do it out of order because I don't want to be going and then not be able to go on because I don't know the next part, right? So I can sing it sort of stupidly that way, but da 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 dum da 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 dum dum da 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 dum da 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 dum 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 da you dum da da dum da da dum 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 da 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 dum 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 da da dum da da dum dum da dum 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 da da dum dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum 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 ba da dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da 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 dum dum dum. Okay, so we sang at it. We got the right fingerings. I had to work on da 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 da, right? That 5/8 bar, da 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 da. But other than that, we've mostly got it. And then there's this 7/8 bar. Bum, ba, dum, bum, bum, bum. I don't know what that's going to be like, but let's see if we can shoot at it. That I can work out later. And it probably should be really in my ear and singable. It's an awful lot of minor nines or minor 16s. Anyway. Would be okay for performance, but still definitely some things to work on, right? I didn't get that first B. I try not to goose it because I don't have any lip to do that anymore. But we had some other good things. That went really well, right? I got to remember not to go too slow on that because it starts to wear on my lip. I slurred there. I shouldn't have slurred there. And then this lick, exactly, right? So can we da 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 da. Hey, we got it. So that's how good, that's how slow I am to try to get those real pitches. Is that those were correct, I think, but that's not in tempo, right? And I should add a ritardando to the last three notes of that. So let's just play them slowly, see if we can get them on our lip and in our ear a little bit better, and then get them up to tempo. So you can hear, if I think about the F, which is kind of the problem note, the A flat doesn't come out, which makes it the problem note. If I think about the A flat, I can get it, but then the F doesn't want to come out. It wants to be like a B flat or something. So that really means I'm not hearing the F after I play the A flat, and I need to get better at that. So we're going to take it apart even further. And this one I really hate doing, especially on camera, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, da, da. Okay, we've got it in our voice. Da, ba, ba, da, 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 da. Now I'm going to play those two notes and then sing the F. Okay, so we've mostly got this piece in chunks, and I'm going to leave it here for now because that's what I need to do. And this has been about 30 minutes of intense sort of mental and physical practice. It's very tempting to just be like, okay, one more. Let me do the next movement, or let me put all this together and try to play the whole page down or play the whole movement. And sometimes that's a really nice way to end your practice session. I mean, I guess we could try to do it, right? But is it the best strategy? But maybe it's the best strategy for the live stream. But if I was practicing as I'm negotiating this with myself on stream, I'll do it for the gram or for the vine or whatever we like to say these days. But I would stop now, walk away for probably at least 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, because that's how long I've been working, right? Just clear my brain, do something else, and then come back and see if I can just work on each one of those little spots that I put an X, and now can I play the whole thing down and maybe spend all of 7 minutes doing that. But like I said, we can do it for the gram. Here we go. And like I said, you can sort of hear the mental fatigue setting in where I just couldn't play those fingerings to the 6/8 measure. I lost it in the 5/8 before that even. And some of the stuff we did didn't hold up. And so, you know, as I want to say on this channel quite often, I'm never afraid to sound bad on stream, as long as it helps somebody else understand something. And what you want to understand here is that, yeah, I called it, that I didn't have the mental stamina after 30 minutes of work, and so you need those breaks, right? Even though a lot of the stuff held up, and it was still a good physical challenge to try to do it right now, I don't necessarily want to understand how hard it is. I want to understand how it could be easy, and so that's the way that I want to do it. But anyway, I'll end this here. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.